Hello, we are live. My name is Jerry Cabazzuto from Soundpath.org. I also run the Liberation Academy.education as well as God is Love, Truth, Freedom.com. And we have a very special guest here today, Leslie Powers from the One Great Work Network.com. I'll also drop her tap link here in the chat momentarily. She also has the website alivethrive.life. She is also the freedomundernaturallaw.com, one of the organizers, which we'll talk about more in a second, as well as involved in the project Health Revealed, as well as the podcast Dissolving the Divide. Welcome.
Thank you, Jerry. I'm really happy to be here and chatting with you. And I'm excited about the Soundpath event. I've been totally getting into it and I'm planning on going to Philadelphia. I can't wait to meet you in person and to meet other people that I've known online, and I'm super excited for that connection. Yeah.
Yes, me too. I'm envisioning all the hugs and I'm already just excited by it.
Yeah. And I'm excited to help you guys out in whatever way that, we can, because I know this is a big undertaking and it helps to have hands on deck. And so, Chris and I are going to be there, just raise a hand and we'll do what we can to help you guys.
Oh, yeah. Well, you doing this interview is definitely helping us. But before we talk about, how basically you inspired me to do this festival, I want to make sure we touch on what you're up to with the Health Revealed and Dissolving the Divide projects projects and podcasts.
Yes. So Dissolving the Divide, first of all, is a really unique and I think amazing series of interviews that Derek Bartolicelli and I have done. We're on a little bit of a rest period while Derek is taking off with other projects and I'm kind of going inward and figuring out how I want to focus my work going forward. But we've done a ton of interviews and they're all good. So I'm sure that not everybody out in the viewing audience has listened to them all. So I want to encourage you to go onto the Dissolving the Divide page. You can also go onto my page, my tap link, and it'll take you to my pages where you can find those interviews and really take your time with them. They're entertaining, they're unique. And we're really talking about what are the solutions? What are the areas that we can dissolve these divisions among people in this world, and to unite ourselves as lovers of freedom and on this quest to bring more freedom into our world. Yeah.
Awesome. And you're one of the organizers of FUNL, and FUNL 5 is coming up. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. So it was a core group of us that got together in 2020 with the kind of dual interest of giving support to each other, but also activating each other's in our own work. It was an inspiring group of people. It really got me activated. And then over time, after we watched the SEED conference that Brandon Martin organized, we were why don't we do a conference? Chris Jansen was the first one to say that. And then it just became real. We took action, and Will Keller and myself and Chris are the remaining folks that are been very active in putting on all 4 of the FUNL conferences. FUNL 5 is coming up in February of 2026. We're in the planning stages, super excited about it. It's going to be great. FUNL 4 was phenomenal. It was very inspiring and just a complete success from our perspective. We were really happy, and we want to keep that momentum going with a yearly conference. And then, my other project is called Health Revealed. This is a collaborative project, which I love collaboration. It's really where I think I thrive the most is in teamwork and collaboration. I find it really inspiring, the momentum that we can give each other and the synergy that comes when we put our minds together. So this is a project that was initiated by Corey Enderlot, pretty amazing powerhouse of a freedom fighter. And he brought myself, Stephanie Moe Davis, and Scott Gordon together, each of us having an angle on the health and healthcare system. I'm a psychotherapist. I've worked in this field for over 35 years now, which is kind of crazy. in a whole wide variety of settings, doing different things. And so I have some insider perspective, I guess, to the field. And then in learning about natural law and learning and studying the work that Mark Passio has brought to the world really blew open my mind. And I've been integrating these worlds of how natural law is so integrally tied to our health, to our mental health, our physical health, our freedom. And it's missing in the general therapy world, okay, and healthcare world. And so Corey's really bringing this conversation around the effects of statism or authority-based, systems and government, and how that this is really hurting our healthcare system and our health, and how the healthcare, if we really want to be thriving and vital in our health, both mental, physical, and spiritual, that we need to understand what it takes to really be free, and how we are not free in a status system. So
Right.
it's a massive project. We've got 9 parts after a kind of a 2-part introduction, I think 24 hours of recording. We worked on this project, I think now for almost 2 years, putting it together, meeting consistently, and, going through a few ups and downs, but we have gotten through this project. And I think 7 of the 9 segments are now up on the healthrevealed.org website. And we're inviting collaborators too who are interested in participating and sharing their point of view. It's really going to be, this is just the beginning, finishing these interviews. We're going to get clips. We're talking about doing a live show and involving more people. Oh, thank you, Sarah. And so that's an exciting project that is just starting to really get going. So.
Awesome. Yes, and I dropped it in the chat, and I wasn't actually originally intending on asking you this, but from a self-care perspective, from a sort of just general frustration with humanity's condition perspective, um, as a sort of one great work warrior yourself, how do you balance your mental health, emotional needs when you're, trying to awaken humanity and you're met with all kinds of, you know, false ego defense, reactions?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that my work in social work and psychotherapy has helped me to have a perspective when working with people who are resistant and who are stuck. So that's like what I do. Painstaking hours with people who are, stuck and struggling and depressed and anxious and afraid and mad, and so I've cultivated a pretty deep well of patience, and I have a very deep well of compassion. And so those are important pieces, as well as I would say, I was an athlete for a time being in the sport of Taekwondo, and I learned about how the persistence, the indomitable spirit, and how when you're training for an event, you have to keep showing up and you have to keep persisting. Now, I also experienced overtraining in that world of physical training. And I know this about myself, that I can say yes too much, and I can get in very deep, and I tend to be very committed to what I do and spread myself very thin. So this has been a lesson over time of learning when to say no, and how to pull back sometime for my own kind of reset, for my own mental health. I've been a single mom for the last 16 years. So that has been a big breath. That's the hardest, probably, job that I've had, and work in many ways has been a place that has gone pretty smoothly for me. But I also know when to say no to systems when I'm in systems that are simply creating a dead end or a block, or I'm too frustrated, or just by principle, I can't stay there. So I've left places. I've bit by bit extracted myself, and I'm still in the process of extracting myself from, kind of tyrannical systems. It's very hard to do and keep afloat and keep paying the bills and so forth. But it's a process. And when it comes to this work, my passion has been here, really strongly. And I've loved, especially with the interviews and the interactions and the networking, it feeds me and it gives me energy to keep going. And I think that, to answer your question more directly, it is because of the network. It is the networking of people that I've gotten to know on a personal basis and have worked with to create important projects. People that have become not only my friends, but they're my colleagues, or they're my colleagues and my friends, and so I'm not alone. I don't feel alone. I feel like doing this work and collaborating with people has enriched my life and helped me to find more of my purpose. So I'm not like randomly seeking what's my purpose out in the world. I feel like I found it. I'm on track, and my motivation to do this, the great work, is very authentic. And I have, it's kind of like working with teenagers, when working with the teenagers, sometimes you don't know if anything you're doing is really hitting, you don't know if it's working. You don't know what's going to happen for them in the future. But I always would say to myself, I am trusting that I am planting some seeds in this person's life.
Right.
And that is going to flower in some way. I can't control when or how, but I'm going to offer, from my heart and to the best of my ability to this person. And I know that it's not going to be for bad, and I do know through the patience and the persistence I've had with individuals that it has made differences in their lives. So why wouldn't this work? If we're patient and persistent, why wouldn't this affect other people's lives?
Right.
We're not going to see it always. We're not going to always get the emails or the texts, or we're not going to see it in social media. But I feel very confident that our voices and the vibration and the frequency that they carry are impacting other people. It's touching their hearts. And I do get feedback now and then from people that I had no idea even were listening to my work, that are telling me that it's impacted them. So I guess I take every little piece of feedback, and I take that and I take it to heart, and I find it to be a reinforcing thing that just fuels my persistence, my indomitable spirit, to keep going. Yeah.
And we have in the chat, we don't always see the effect. It's leading by example. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Speaking of leading by example, I want to go back to your Funnel 4 conference.
Mm-hmm.
So I've mentioned this in other interviews and podcasts, but it was your presentation, Conrad Regos, who's been involved now in the Soundpath organization and lineup, headlining actually, Derek Bartolicelli, all these amazing presentations, but specifically, you and Conrad really focused on music in your presentations. Derek did a little bit too. But I would love to, just hear about how that presentation came about for you. And maybe I remember you mentioning that, your father was a musician growing up, and just learning more about that presentation.
Yeah, sure. So I've been lucky enough to been around musicians and artists throughout my life. It's like a part of me that I haven't had the opportunity to fully express yet, so to speak. But I love being around people who create. And when I was a child, I had the fondest memories of my father, who was an organist and a piano player. And I would just follow him. I would always have an eye out for him for when he was going to go to the piano or the organ, and I would follow him. And I just loved listening to him play music. And then I just naturally danced to the music. And that's been more of my calling in terms of my natural draw to music is to move my body and to dance. I can hardly listen to any music without moving my body. That is sort of ridiculous. Sometimes I'm with places and people are not doing any movement, and I'm like, how come I'm the only one feeling the music?
Totally.
You know, right? But it's just a very natural thing, and so I talk about that in the beginning of my presentation. And, the story that I had was that, oh gosh, there's so many little pathways I can take on this. But in terms of, my exposure to music, it's, a lot of my boyfriends and partners have been musicians. And so a lot of my life has been kind of stepping into the soundtrack of other people in a way, and vibing and joining in and appreciating that and doing a lot of dancing. And, so in my current community, I've been blessed to meet people who play music and that create songs and sing, and also are philosophers. And so we have gatherings where we're kind of talking about philosophy and playing music, and it's a very safe environment where anybody's encouraged to pick up a drum or a rattle or to sing along. And so in that environment, I felt safe enough to experiment a little bit, like even with my own voice, which I've never considered myself having a singable voice, but I feel safe enough to sing anyway, and to kind of open up my voice. So that, I'll just say, is powerful for anyone who doesn't think they can sing, who doesn't feel musical. That I think it's a very, it's a growth area in multiple ways, more than I can describe, about when you step into using your voice to sing when you don't think you can, or to play an instrument, and so finding people like that. And it was at one of these gatherings where my friend Glenn shared a video that a little part of a video series, which is in that presentation for FUNL 4. And it is about music, and it has all sorts of quotes of a lot of mystics around the power and mysticism of music. And when I was watching that, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to talk about. And it connected me back to my father.
Wow.
And the impact of music on our lives and the power of music. And of course, once you set in motion a topic, then, at least for me, everything I do I start to see things that align with this topic. And one of those things was my son, who also has a calling for creating music and rapping. And
wow.
He has a very diverse interest in music. So he's like a 24-year-old kid. And one day he's playing these like jazz standards. And I'm like, I had deja vu.
Wow.
I was like, I feel like I'm in my childhood home listening to my father's music. And it was super like sentimental. And I felt deja vu. And it was like, either I feel like my father's spirit is here with me, or somehow epigenetically he's present through my son. And it had me thinking about how music has this power to bridge the material, physical body with the spirit. And that was what gave me the title, The Power of Music, Bridging, Matter with Spirit. And then I started to look into all of, a lot of, I obviously not all, but really just scratch the surface of various research on music. And as a psychotherapist, I'm always interested in, how is music used therapeutically? And there's a lot out there around the power of music as a therapeutic tool, and how it helps to soothe, and tone the vagus nerve. It helps to bring relaxation. It helps to align our kind of mind and body. And it's also, there's all of the deeper study around frequency and vibration and sound healing and the biofield. And you just get deeper and deeper and wider and higher, and then it's like the music of the cosmos, and so I made an attempt to sort of, connect the dots on a lot of this, and to identify music as it's a power. it's a power that we can tap, both for our own healing and our own transcendence, and for a way of connecting and communicating among ourselves, and how music can be a unifier. And throughout history, song and sound and dance has been a unifying force for freedom.
Mm.
So it's a very powerful opportunity. And I think it brings us into this untapped potential of who we are as humans and creators. So.
Mic drop. That was great. That was amazing. I have no follow-up questions. That was just wow. I want to talk a little bit about dance. So, I'm totally feeling you on, music, singing, but dance, I think specifically that somatic aspect is very healing, at least that I found in my own life. Um, what sort of therapeutic applications or experiences have you found with dance?
So first of all, I think a lot of people are very cut off from their bodies and are very self-conscious about their bodies and have their body image connected to very superficial, external, kind of mind control based propaganda. And I think that for me, dance has always been something that is intrinsically motivated. It's not something I've attempted to model the latest dance craze or whatever on the outside. So, although I don't mind, and I think learning choreography is really good for the brain. It helps, because also what we're talking about here is the left and right brain hemisphere balance. Both the left and right hemispheres are activated through music. And when you add dance, you're working with beat and timing and doing something with your feet and doing something with your arms and maybe something with your chest, and your head. It's like you have to use a lot of focus, and that in itself is kind of like a mindfulness practice. I did belly dance for a while, and it was the midst of like single parenthood. And I tell you, when I went to class, I was a world away. From all my stresses, and I was in my body and my bare feet, and I was concentrated, and I was with a group of women, and and it can be very therapeutic in the sense of bonding with people, of finding kind of community, and building confidence in your own body, your body image, and in healthy ways, if and there's also the darker side, like there's a light and the dark side of the dance world, where women are starving themselves and they're, destroying their bodies, trying to, do things in a certain way. But for me, it's always been related to my sense of freedom and dancing the way I feel, right? And not being afraid of that, not being embarrassed. And so that's been my favorite kind of dancing, is just like what I hear. And then what it does for me is music can get you in touch with your emotions. So all these emotions that kind of get put aside as I'm focused and working and I'm dealing with a lot of other people's emotions, there's a need, I think, to move stuff out, right? And dance does that for me, probably in the most effective way, is, get the music on, get that groove, get that feel, and all kinds of music, from hard beating, music to soothing music to, whatever, or chanting, and using sound in that way. It helps to process emotions. And then there's fitness involved and balance and bilateral brain stimulation. And, so there's so many elements to dance. Then, and on top of that, what I started to do probably from 2013, 2014 on, is partner dance.
Cool.
That is a whole nother dimension of how dance has, I think, therapeutic benefits around connection with another person. and learning the dynamics of lead and follow, and listening and trusting, and facing a lot of insecurities even that come up in that world, frustrations. It's not always easy, so that has been another like joy that I've not experienced in any other type of sport or activity, is that the joy of real connectivity in dance and fun. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was such a great answer. I love everything that you said. I'm also thinking about movement in general with like, I had forgotten, and we had talked offline about how we both trained in Taekwondo and martial arts.
Right.
I'm curious about um, that sort of kind of movement and the therapeutic benefits, because at least for me, with my training, I developed a stronger sense of self-defense in my mind because of that physical,
Yeah.
work. But what are your thoughts or experiences and reflections with martial arts?
Yeah. So my experience in the martial arts was really life-changing and transformative on a lot of levels. And again, there was a real light side and a dark side in my journey. I was 13 when I started,
Wow.
and I didn't have a lot of poise or confidence. I was pretty shy and insecure. I kind of felt like a bit of an outcast. And when I I had been teased in junior high. I kind of like I've alienated my school, after all that. I was like, I didn't trust anyone. So when I went to Taekwondo, and I would say that I'm blessed with a certain athleticism, and so the physical tasks came pretty naturally. They came readily. I had good training, and I developed what I would consider like a family, a second family in that world. It was a very bonding environment, and I became pretty obsessed. I went every single day. In the summer, I went twice a day. My friends were there. A lot of them were older, so I was immersed into life really fast in a way in that environment. But I gained a certain confidence and a mental and emotional confidence through the training, and also being witnessed, I think, as having some potential or ability, and getting the reflection back, that I had potential talent. And so that really motivated me. And in my upbringing, I didn't have a lot of that type of reflection. So when I got that in that environment, it was super powerful. And so then I was very motivated to train hard and see what I could do. And then when you're training with a group of people, so we had a core group, we'd go run up the mountainside and the hills at 5:30 in the morning when it was
Wow.
10 degrees or 3 degrees above zero, and and we would show up at class and then stay late and train together. We pushed hard, and so that is a type of a bonding that lasts a lifetime. I'm still connected to those people,
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think whether it's dance, martial arts, playing instruments, there's a certain level of just going through that discipline and just that trivium, just focusing on mastering something and sharing it with the world is um, there's it it trains one's brain to think holistically and to, like you said, just have a better sort of mind-body connection. What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
just discipline in general,
I agree.
whether it's practicing an instrument or
Yeah.
dancing or martial arts?
I think that was my first and probably most intensive experience of having discipline in my life. And my personality isn't probably generally kind of flowy, and I don't like being put in boxes. And so when I had the discipline of that I was voluntarily motivated to do, right? Different than like school. it created a foundation of what discipline is, and what it takes and what you can do. So it kind of took out some of the language of impossibility in my mind. It's like I came to the conclusion, if I put my mind and my body united in the aim of a goal and I show up for it, anything's possible. I think that's true for all of us. And, people go through their lives kind of thinking there's me over here and I'm not that, I can't ever do that. It's those people over there that get to be, so successful. And I kind of realized, well, I was just sort of an average kid in like a nowhere place. And, I developed some ability and had some success. And so I was like, oh, it's really not that far a jump. Many people could develop themselves in ways that they can't imagine. They don't see themselves. And so many kids don't get seen in their potential, their individual gifts. And so when you have, someone in your life who can reflect to you, you're smart, you're athletic, you're talented, that fuels that energy to then put in the time and the discipline. And so, yeah, it was like a template, I guess, that I have in my memory. But I also, like I said, got burnt out. So and more recently, I kind of experienced in a different way, this experience of burnout. Hey, Derek. Of burnout, of sort of pushing myself, maybe because of external reasons, as opposed to my internal, and losing touch with the messages of my body and my emotions. And then, kind of getting sick or getting like, my body in different ways kind of told me. And so I reflected a lot on my Taekwondo experience and really came to a place of knowing we have to be disciplined, but yet very attuned to ourselves individually. And that we can't be in a cookie cutter program of training and just do something because we have this external voice telling us, do it, because that we can get in trouble and burn out or break down. So, and even when it's self-motivated, we can ignore our signs. So I'm just really trying to reflect in my own life on that balance and try to find a way to live life with balance, which is very hard. Especially when you have missions in life to do. Can't hear you. Hey, Jerry, I can't hear you. Oh. Jerry. I can't hear you. Audio is like a bitch, man.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. For some reason, it's not. Anyway, I was just saying, like, when you were talking about this idea of like making sure we don't externalize authority, and when we're sort of developing our sense of self-ownership, it makes me think more largely, and I've been sort of reflecting a lot and thinking a lot about the Milgram experiment and how I kind of feel like we're in a giant Milgram experiment right now. What are your thoughts on this idea?
I agree with you. Yeah, we talk about that in the Health Revealed project. Corey really brings some good data around that. And he's actually created his own like nonviolent experiment that he's encouraging people to try. Yeah, the idea of the Milgram experiment is that when some people went in to do an experiment, they had, the guy in the white coat telling them that they needed to, push a button and put electricity into the person every time they made a mistake, right? And so the person pushing the button was really what the experiment was about, but they didn't know it. And people were just listening to the authority and completely disregarding their own like somatic messages of like, oh, and their own better judgment, their own whatever training they might have got about be good to people. They were just putting that on the sidelines to do what they were told. And so that obviously plays out in our world in every way, from the way we train kids in the school system, and how we're treated at our jobs, to what to do when they make up a pretend pandemic, Yeah.
I'm so sorry. There's been issues with my audio, and it happened the other day, and I thought I solved it. So there's a bit of a delay with the audio for me, but I can hear what you're saying. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. So going back to this idea of the festival, um, because we're in a giant Milgram experiment, I really like to think that, of the rebel variation of it, where, as you, I think it's called like the two peer rebel variation or something, um, where, you know, if you have two sort of folks saying no to the authority figure in front of all the other test subjects, 80 to 90% of them end up saying no too. And they'll come up with all kinds of justifications for that, like they felt it in their heart that they're more in tune with themselves then. They gain a sense of self-ownership by seeing that living example in front of them. And while I understand that, there aren't many of us doing the one great work, I'm hoping, because like most of the musicians for the festival are sourced from the One Great Work Network.com, that, there's going to be cross pollination between the different audiences of the different artists, who then may check out, so and so's podcast series, or, so I just feel like, as long as we keep doing these in-person, hybrid, online events, the more we can be those rebel peer examples, so that we can truly, this isn't hopium. I really don't think, I mean, do you agree? Where's your thoughts on this idea?
Yeah, I think things could move exponentially at a certain point. I think it starts slow, and then every time you make a connection, it sort of expands. And we don't entirely know how that's all going to play out. But I hold hope around the potential of that expansion through exactly what you're talking about. It's like we're bringing diverse people together, and then each of these people has an audience. They have friends, they have family, they share it. Then among those people, they're going to be inspired, and they're going to share it. Their minds might be shifting, and that can just kind of echo out into the world. We're already bridging the ocean, the continents of Europe and South America and America, the United States, Canada, and the internet can work in our favor in that way. And again, we have to be persistent. We have to show up. We have to do our part, even if we're small, like in our own little self. When we come together, we become a network, a mycelium in a way of connected energy that is going to be more than this. What do they say? The whole is more than the sum of its parts. Yeah.
I also would love to touch on, we have Go Big or Go Home. Yes. I was sort of wanting to think about also in terms of the truth and freedom movement, specifically the natural law community's messaging. A lot of us are doing podcasts. We're doing one right now. I don't have a problem with podcasts, but I feel like that's really only tending to appeal to the sort of left brained thinkers, and music can kind of be a more holistic approach of like, kind of getting into that subconscious, because we're when we're talking, we're only interacting with the conscious and not the subconscious. Whereas like things like dance, music, martial arts, whatever, there's a comedy where we have a stand-up comedy set from David Rodriguez. We have dance from Dorian Saracen. So there, you like, what are your thoughts about like finding subconscious ways of getting in?
Right. That's very true around music. It bypasses the frontal lobes. It connects in with the limbic system and the brainstem. And that is known by the dark occultists, the social engineers of the world, and they're manipulating music all the time to influence people and to guide their behavior. So I think it's important that we step into that game, but with only good intentions, bringing a spirit of love and, truth and freedom, bringing the joy of people coming together. I think that's important too, because if we're just all alone in our little single expression, there's not the chemistry that comes when more than one person is talking, or when we come together in person, or when we come together with a certain friendship and camaraderie, a unity of message. There's something more that shows up energetically. So it's an energetic thing. And so art, music, comedy, laughing, right? Poetry, right? Chris Youngblood, his touching. It touches the heart. It like talks to the oldest like part of your soul. I think, it brings back memory. And that was another big thing I learned in doing my presentation and sharing it, is that music is very tied into our memory centers, including potentially our ancestral memory. I had a kind of a experience with that, or I feel like I tapped into something very ancient in me that came, through music, and that opened up something in me that empowered me in a way I had never felt before. And so, when I listen, I'm listening a lot to your interviews and I'm hearing the music on your Soundpath Friday nights, and the music is inspiring me. I'm bringing emotion. It's there's something more that comes. And so I think that is hopeful, and that inspiration is really important, because we need energy in this movement. We feel, a lot of us, it's easy to get discouraged, to feel like we're up against too big of a monster, And so where do we come back for our own inspiration and our own, like, filling our own bucket to feel energized, to go out and keep doing this work? Music, I think, is essential, actually, for me to keep going. Yeah.
Shall we listen to some music? Did you want to like maybe hear a song or two, and we can?
Sure.
I could play someone from the lineup. Do you have any preferences? Or we can do Presence. We could do 33. We could do AKA Derek Bros. We could do Tatiana Moros.
Let's do some Tatiana Moros.
Tatiana Moros?
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, that interview with her was awesome. She's very cool, down to earth. Definitely excited that she lives in the Florida area, because I want to work with her. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. All right, let me just try to pull up a song from her. 1 second. Sorry, guys. Here we go. I particularly like this one by her. It's called What You Gonna Do.
What you gonna do when they come for you? Are you gonna lay down and die? Tell me, officer, tell me, what did I do? Was it 'cause I was speaking my mind? What is the limit, and are we still in it? Can we go and change the tide? Tell me what to do when they come for you. do when they come for you? I thought we were free inside. Are you gonna wait? Will you be prepared when they set the world on fire? Did you learn the truth? I know that you're scared, 'cause who would wanna fight for a lie? What is the limit, and are we still in it? Can we go and change the tide? Tell me what to do when they come for you. Tell me what to do when they come for you. I thought we were free inside. Answer the call, this could be the end. Defend our sacred ground. The devil will fall, he isn't your friend, buying souls by the pound. What is the limit, and are we still in it? Can we go and change the tide? Tell me what to do when they come for you. Tell me what to do when they come for you. I thought we were free inside.
All right. What sort of impressions or emotions came through for you during the listening of that?
So I like that you guys are highlighting different types of music and styles of music, and country is really what is the word? A type of music that is very popular in our country, right? Especially where I live up in the real northern part of California. And so I think that there's an opportunity to appeal to some broader audience with her style, you know, and because it's close enough to some of the mainstream conservative, you know, vibe that I think that it could catch some attention and has the potential maybe to bring them closer to, you know, the natural law reality, the natural law truth. So I find that, you know, and I think also the question, what are you going to do? I think is an important one. It's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do in these situations that we're going to be faced with, where we have to make a choice? And what are we going to do about the state of the world, the state of freedom or lack of freedom in our world? So.
Yeah, I definitely, I'm very excited about like exactly what you're saying. I think Tatiana in particular, as an artist, originally started off more libertarian. And as she realized that Daddy Trump wasn't going to save anybody, that it was just two sides of the same mask, as Mark Passio puts it with his presentation. But yeah, basically, like, it's a false choice, and she sort of started turning more into sort of more anarchic ideas, and she's going to be a great bridge, as you said, I think, for natural law concepts for that part of the freedom movement, if you can even call it that. But
yeah, the freedom effort or the freedom talk. Yeah. I think, finding music that is aligned with natural law principles and that can step into people of different demographics. I think that's important. Yeah. I also love the South America. I forget if she's from Spain or South America. A very hard-hitting rapper who raps in Spanish. I love her too. The energy and the power that she brings, like a whole different side of a feminine voice, Yeah.
Okay, so let's listen to Beatriz, Beautiful. I think this will probably be our last song here. That interview was great. Her level of English is my level of Spanish, and like we were able to kind of figure it out between each other. Here we go. So Beautiful. I have all Beatriz. Okay. All right, let's do Criaturas has a little bit of English, so let's do this one.
Demasiado crío criando criaturas. Luego esperarán que haya una sociedad madura. Vaya caras duras. No moverán un dedo hasta que no sea su hijo a quien se folle el cura. Mob Dick Back Casey. Y tú creyendo que yo estoy crazy, no te enteras de la movie. Laziness fuera de aquí, yo tengo el poder para cambiarme a mí. No les tengo miedo, motherfuckers, go to sleep. O cállenme la boca porque a este paso los dejo sin fans en la bancarrota. Sin varita, sin capota. Brujos de mierda nunca podrán contra una prota. No es ego, es conciencia de lo que en mí brota. Let's be, let's try, let's do the right. En el mic desmiento lies, system broken inside. Querían venderme su ensaimada sin saber que de todas yo soy la más enamorada de la vida, la más herida, aún curando el caos que me causaron sus guerras y sus movidas, todas sus causas perdidas. Es tan pobre el objetivo que siento vergüenza de que un día fuera el mío, así de real, así de frío. Aún con la presión la 100, yo la siento bien, la entrelazo como quien roba en el todo a 100. Con la diferencia de que vi las consecuencias de querer todo pa' mí sin importarme tus carencias. Puto solipsismo casi me consume, insisto. Comprende bien a Cristo y no te creas a ese listo. Si lo que dice en sus actos no lo has visto, te engaña todo aquel que te vende un camino liso. Pues el sacrificio personal es requisito para el que quiera ser invicto. En un mundo donde hacer el bien es un delito. No hice mi trabajo y como soy la responsable, el resultado no lo edito. Con puto Photoshop o con un punto de perico. No sé si me explico, no sé si hay capito. Tú un cobarde que va de papito, un cuento demasiado visto. Me inscribo, me asusto y luego no asisto. Let's be, let's try, let's do the right. En el mic te hago un strike como en libros David I. No te digo que te creas paranoias, pero sí que las crean y las insertan en las ollas. Tic-tac, ampollas en el cerebro de Goyan. Pensaste por ti mismo y crearon los Goya. La ficción es tan real como la carne de soya, como el agua bezoya o una canción de Soraya.
So I know not everyone speaks Spanish, but I think, there are certain words that are the same in English, and you can also kind of get that divine masculine feminine balance in her music. And yeah, I just think she's just a powerhouse. She's amazing. I'm so happy that we have someone that's not speaking English, singing in English, or in this case rapping, and because eventually I would like for this festival to have multiple languages, because we're trying to reach humanity, not just, Americans. But yeah, tell us
Awesome.
about,
It's
what you
totally
thought about the
awesome.
song.
Her energy is so clear, and it's driving, and it's determined, and it's clearly from passion, and saying it like it is, and that energy is, it's activating. Her energy is activating. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting too, because she's walking in like this very old, beautiful architecture and in nature, but with, this beauty of the architecture. And there's something about, to me, it's almost like, being preserving something that's important, that we are straying from with this technocratic world, the artificial world, and that architecture that was really probably hand built, stonework, and, built with certain creativity and love, and, I don't know, people building by hand, the craftsmen and the masons. And I don't know, there's something I like about that too.
Yeah, there continues to be a delay in the sound. Sorry about that. But yeah, I hadn't really thought about that aspect of, the old versus, the sort of more modern. But I was thinking about, this idea of the authentic, sacred feminine being put underground, and how it's interesting. You and I are women. We're, activated. We're listening to other activated women make music. And, we're sort of trying to be the examples of the sacred feminine aspects of this movement, because, I do think it's important to have a sort of balanced approach. What are your thoughts on this idea?
Like a balanced approach in terms of bringing in women and men, yeah, and different genres. Yeah, I think that's again key, right? Because our humanity is of many colors, of many languages, of many energies, from, and every kind of style of music brings a different part of reality and truth out, and vibes and resonates with us in different ways. And some of us resonate more with certain types of music than others. But I think it's going to be cool, to have this great diversity, to be able just to experience other types of music that maybe we don't usually listen to, and get to see how it hits us, And I just really encourage people to really pay attention to their whole kind of mind-body response to music, to get out of your head, and also like be present in your body, listen, feel your emotions, notice thoughts and that pop into your head, just like be really present in both hemispheres of your brain and your body. Yeah.
I want to thank you so much, Leslie, for your time today. Do you have any sort of closing thoughts or sort of messages that you'd like to share before we say goodbye?
Well, thank you, Jerry, for inviting me on. I feel really pleased, to have been part of the inspiration for this. It means a lot to me. It's validating, for me, for the work that I put in, and the time and all of that. And it's exciting because this feels like really big to me. It feels like this kind of explosion of possibilities. And so I'm really I'm impressed with you and how focused and determined that you are, and how hard you're working. You're busting your ass. You're dealing with motherly, women kind of struggles at the same time you're doing this work. And I think that's something that my heart just really connects with you on, and with women in general. There's something there really powerful. And I am really excited to go in person. I have my tickets. I'm going to be there. I encourage anyone to make the effort to go in person and support your event on the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, because it's going to be great. It's going to be so fun. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.